Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here with a different proposition. As you may have seen the title, and I think it's something that I should do. It's ranking. Now the focus here isn't the ranking. This is a review of Kylie's discography journey as we've concluded it last week when I listened to Golden. We're gonna talk about Golden. I know I should address some things. We're gonna talk about it in this video, and as well as talking about Golden, I decided to do something a little more interactive, not me just talking about the albums but ranking them, putting them in an order so you know what size of the impact Kylie Minogue had in me with her discography journey as I listened to it in this channel. I feel like it's an interesting thing, If you don't like it, just tell me. If you say never do this again, I hated it, I'll never do it again. If you don't like it, it's fine. But I personally know that I'm gonna like it because I like rankings and I like ranking things. So yes, let's go, okay? Now I wonder if you can see that I didn't make it, okay? I didn't make this tier list. I got it from someone else. I can link it in the comments below if you want to do them yourselves. I didn't do it. I also didn't select the albums, but I did choose one that had all the albums because I found some of them that didn't have disco. They were a bit older, and one of them did have disco but didn't have Kylie Christmas. And since it is an album of hers listed as a discography, a part of her discography, and we did listen to it here, I figured why not? So let's start. I'm not gonna start chronological, I'm gonna start the way it's here. So the first one is Kiss Me Once. I'm gonna place it in OK. Now Kiss Me Once is very 8 or 80 in my opinion. Take it or leave it. Some people leave it, some people take it. I only take half of it. I do believe quite literally out of the 14 tracks I like 7 of them. There are good tracks like Mr. President and Into the Blue, which I listen to constantly and don't get bored of, at least as of right now I still haven't. And there are tracks that I heard once and I would rather not ever hear them again, such as I Was Gonna Cancel da 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 da. Ugh. We don't talk about that. We talked about that in the video. So yes, I would say it's an okay album. I understand its placement within a certain time frame. It sounds a lot like the kind of style that was beginning to fade at that time. If it had come out in 2012, it would have been the face of 2012. In 2014, that style was kind of going away and being replaced by different types of production. This sounds a lot like it's from the final period of the EDM pop revival of the early 2010s. Granted, this album is from 2014, so it's almost not early 2010s anymore. So I understand its placement within the discography. I understand its placement within the era it came out, within the time it came out. It's definitely time reflective. That's not something that's exclusive to this album. A lot of her other albums, especially the older ones, are time reflective, but they don't sound as dated as this one does, and that's why I believe it's an okay. However, since I do like quite a few tracks, I'm not gonna place it in meh. It's not meh. It's okay. It's not great either. Now, what is a meh is X. You might be a little surprised because if you did watch my reaction, you would think I'd put it here. And yes, right after I recorded it, I definitely would have. But I listened to it again, and turns out some of the tracks that I didn't like, such as In My Arms, I actually kind of love right now. But still, there are several tracks that just don't, They just don't do it for me. I don't click with them. They aren't particularly interesting to listen to. I still hate the chorus Into Hearts. I still can't stand Heartbeat Rock, and I heard this album again. it was good enough to move it a little further up my list and beyond other albums that are going to be in no, but it's not that, it's meh. It's not good, it's not great, it's not terrible either, at least in my opinion anymore, but it just doesn't do it for me. Oh, my favorite track in this is still Wow, by the way, and I would also now include In My Arms. That's also something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you my 2 favorite tracks on each album. Next one, Fever, absolute masterpiece. You have watched my reaction probably, and you'll know how much I love this album, and even tracks that I didn't like on my first listen, such as Give It To Me and More More More. Now, I did like More 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 in my first listen, I just didn't find it outstanding. Now I can't skip any tracks in this album except I'm burning up, baby, I'm burning up, yeah. No, I hate that track. My favorites are In Your Eyes, which is, again, my best pop song ever made, in my opinion. I said that on my body language video, I believe, and I still think that way, and it's still a bop. And I don't even know what's my second favorite track. I guess maybe Dance Floor. I really did love Dance Floor, but Love at First Sight is also good, so I'm gonna give it a tie, excuse me for giving it a tie. I really like this album, and it is not time reflective, but it is timeless. It actually sounds like it should have come out maybe around 2008, 2009, when Gaga came into the game with the Fame, which led to the resurrection of EDM music. But the resurrection happened because someone had started it, and that someone was Kylie. But I still find Kylie's album to be very much up to date and pretty much a pop in its own. It's one of my favorite albums of her discography. That's why it's an absolute masterpiece, and it's definitely among the things that I believe changed me and how I listen to and how I like music. Moving on to the 2010s, again, it's Aphrodite. I'm gonna put it in great ones. Now, when I heard the album, of course, I liked a lot of tracks. Put Your Hands Up, Get Out of My Way. Get Out of My Way is so good. Love that song. All the Lovers, which I already heard and like. Closer with that instrument at the beginning, it's outstanding. But there are also a few tracks that don't really, they don't really get to me that much, and even the tracks I like and love, I don't love as much as some of the tracks in Fever. For instance, my favorite track, and the track I'm gonna choose as my favorite in Aphrodite, is Get Out of My Way, followed by Closer. I do love them both a lot. However, Get Out of My Way isn't as much of a favorite as my top 3 in Fever is, for instance. So yeah, I do love this album, but I dare not put it an absolute masterpiece next to Fever, because Fever is in a whole different scale, and some other albums here are in a whole different scale in comparison to Aphrodite. That's why it's a great one. Now to the one that you guys were really mad at me for not liking, Golden. Now, I want to clarify something. I wasn't in a bad day. I am never, ever gonna be in a bad day, because I always record in the morning. So the first thing I do after I have breakfast and brush my teeth is sit here and record. So nothing can ever happen in a day where I record a video that's gonna make me in a bad day, because I don't record it after my day actually starts. I get up, I have breakfast, I brush my teeth, I sit here. That's it. So it's not a bad day. I'm never in a bad mood for something unless someone died. But when that happens, I don't record, which because I didn't record when my uncle passed in October and November. That week he died. So I never there's never any external influences happening while I record my videos and I give my opinions, because I don't think that's fair on the material I'm reacting to. What is the only influence is my personal taste. And my personal taste is that Golden is not a good album. It's not even a meh album. It's a no. I don't like the production in most of the tracks. I really do not like the fact that some tracks sounded a lot like each other in several bits throughout the album. I got that. And then I looked at the credits, and the tracks that sounded a lot like each other were by the same producer, so he basically copy pasted and sold it as different tracks when they are in fact very similar. I do not like that. I was disappointed by the album. That's why I was sad. I was disappointed. I was sad. I was listening to something that didn't come 1/10 of the quality of some of her other albums, like Fever. Again, I'm gonna cite it. I did like a few tracks. Dancing is very good, and Raining Glitter is great. Those two are my favorites. But that's not enough. 4 tracks in a 16-track album, 1/4 of the album. That's not enough to make me like it. I sat here over an hour recording that. I was not happy with this album at all. I listened to it again and I'm still upset about how similar the tracks sound. I don't like the direction she took with it. I do like the lyrics. I said that. I like the vocals. I also said that they are good. The lyrics are good. She's a good lyricist. When she decides to write songs, she writes good songs. But not having a production as good as the lyrics actually takes away from them. Not my favorite in her discography at all. Moving on to Impossible Princess. I actually wish there was a mid category between these two, because placing it next to X is a bit weird, because I listen to a lot more tracks from X than I do Impossible Princess. I only actually listen to Cowboy Style on a daily basis. All the other tracks I liked in my first listen, I've disliked them already. I don't listen to them on Spotify regularly. But also placing this next to Golden, when on my first listen I liked Impossible Princess a lot more than Golden, is also unfair. So I am gonna put it in meh, with this explanation being said. And the reason why is because although I liked it in my first listen, it didn't stick to me. Again, the only track I still listen to is Cowboy Style. I did like other tracks. I should say one of my favorites was also Breathe, Say Hey. Say Hey is very good. And Through the Years, all were good songs. They were all songs I liked in my first listen, but none of them were songs that stuck, you know, that I still listen to. I don't. So I can't compare them to Golden, for instance, that had a little less songs that I actually liked. But it's unfair to compare it to X when the tracks from X I still hear. So I'm gonna put it here, wishing there was a category in between that I would just call Impossible Princess, because that's legit the only album I think that's gonna come here. So yes. Next one, Enjoy Yourself. Enjoy Yourself, I'm gonna put it here above Kiss Me Once. The reason why I'm gonna do it, I don't think it's as good as Aphrodite. A lot of the tracks there were basically rip-offs from the debut, but I don't think it's as okay of an album as Kiss Me Once, because it's a little better than okay, and it's better than Kiss Me Once. I still love it for giving us versatility and giving us songs like Telltale Signs and Tears on My Pillow. My favorite tracks from this album are Telltale Signs and probably I'm Over Dreaming Over You. I was gonna say Never Too Late, but no, I'm Over Dreaming Over You I like better. So yeah, it's good. it's 80s, it's time reflective. However, there are a lot of songs that just no, like Heaven and Earth. I still don't like that song. I still feel like it sounds something off. I do understand the message, but I don't. Actually, I don't feel comfortable with this one being next to Kiss Me Once because I like it a lot more. I'm actually gonna put it here, next to Aphrodite, though I do like Aphrodite more. Still consider everything I said, okay? Don't discard everything I said. I still think that way. But I'm gonna switch it because now that I'm thinking about it, being next to Kiss Me Once, no sense. Now, a holy trinity here, okay? Kylie Minogue, 1994, the best of her career. I still don't really listen to those 6-7 minute tracks like Fallen and where's that other one? Where has the love gone? Where's the love gone? Yeah, and Automatic Love, which she actually wrote, not my favorite. But in this album there is my favorite song of hers, Confiding Me, and also Dangerous Game, which is a masterpiece, as well as so many other good songs. Surrender is a vibe, If I Was Your Lover is a bop. They're all very good. The album has a different style. It's a little more underground, R&B-ish, and it's something that suits her so well. Also, let's not forget Put Yourself in My Place, which is a great ballad and is, as I said when I heard this album, Kylie Minogue's 90s power ballad in the likes of other great ballads of the era. It's definitely an album that sounds like it came from that time, but it's so good and so well done that I don't mind the fact it sounds from the 90s because it's amazing. Second one in our holy trinity, Debut. Debut is outstanding. What can I say? I liked every single track the first time I heard this album, which was the first time that I liked every single track in an album in this channel. Not one of them was skippable. Not one I heard and was like, I'm gonna add this but I'm not sure. No, every single track here I liked. Some of them haven't stick, I Should Be So Lucky, I got bored of it easily. I had already heard it. Locomotion, I had already heard it, got bored of it easily too. That's why it's not, as much as Fever, but it's great. It's great. Especially songs that were a little hidden, such as Turn It Into Love. That song is amazing. It's No Secret is great. Got to Be Certain I'm not a huge fan of, but especially It's No Secret and Turn It Into Love. Those two are my favorite tracks in this album, and they are just amazing to listen to, and it's great that she started off her career with such a strong album because what can I say? Debut is amazing. Now to her most underrated album, which is gonna come here. Right next to Kylie Minogue 94. Let's Get To It was the final album in her collaborations with the guys that she worked with on the first 3 but she took control, wrote, and made an amazing album. Just as Debut, I like every single song in this. I don't even know if I can say my favorites because, to be fair, every single one is great. If I had to choose, I would say Word Is Out and Finer Feelings, or maybe Let's Get To It right now. Make it happen somehow. Need your touch. No, why I got caught up in the moment. This album, it flows. It's got a different vibe. It's the child of Kylie Minogue 1994. It has more of an R&B-ish style of production that 1994 would really, dive into. This one kind of put the tip of the toes to feel the water, and it's amazing. It's great. I love this album. There's so many inspirations from other artists of the time, like Janet Jackson, which actually says, "You wanna do it? Let's get to it." In the beginning of "Too Much of a Good Thing, you can never get enough of my good heart. Open up and let me in." If I were to say every single song in here that I like, I would sing the entire album. You don't need to listen to that. You just need to know that Let's Get To It is her most underrated album and one of her the best in her career. In fact, I'm not even sure if I shouldn't do this. That's how much I like. But no, let's stick to this, okay? So far, this one is the best. Now, this one, Light Years, Traveling Light Years. First time I heard it, I should put it here because based on the first time I heard it. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put it here in great because I like it better than enjoy it, enjoy yourself. The reason why I do that is because the tracks I heard it here that I didn't like at first, such as On a Night Like This, have grown on me. And this expanded my taste for the album. Also, the fact that Your Disco Needs You is in this, I couldn't put it here. I love that song. Top 10 in her career, definitely. I can't not put it here, right next to Aphrodite, or maybe in front of Aphrodite. No, I won't go that far. But I love Light Years now, and it's one of my favorites. There are, of course, a few tracks that I still don't really vibe with a lot, such as Butterfly and Cuckoo, but I can listen to the entire album. That they're not a huge problem, okay? And I still like the sound of them. For instance, I like the sound of Cuckoo, even though I don't really like the song. That's why it's here. And I do consider it better than Enjoy Yourself, so it's here. Next one, Read My Body Language. Ooh, by the way, you guys were right. Slow hits differently on your following listens. I'm gonna put it here. Once again, I do feel bad for putting here because I don't think it's an okay album. I think it's a good album. I really should have created a mid category between great and okay, because placing it next to Kiss Me Once is a sin. Because the tracks I like in Body Language I like more than the tracks I like in Kiss Me Once. My favorites are Red Blooded Woman and Slow. That song is amazing, and this album it's very different from her other albums because you can really tell that it was inspired by that time, but it was at a time when most people weren't doing that genre. Kinda like what happened with Fever, but I like the genre that Fever started. Should I say started? I don't want to, claim her as the starter of the genre, because she definitely wasn't. But the kind of style that Fever preceded the peak, I should say, more than the style that preceded the peak with Body Language, because the kind of music that Body Language is mostly an R&B-ish album, and the likes of the albums of Nelly Furtado and Justin Timberlake would sound 3 years later. Lose It from 2006 and Future Sex Love Sounds from 2007. Those albums have different sounds to Body Language, but released later in comparison to Body Language. So in a way she was, again, ahead of time, just as she was with Fever. But I do like pop more than I like R&B, so putting them next to each other is something that I wouldn't do. Other than that, there's also the fact that I like the tracks in Fever a lot more than I like the tracks in Body Language. Body Language still has some tracks that I just don't like. I can listen to. It's not an album without skips. I can listen to Enjoy Yourself without skipping. I cannot listen to Body Language without skipping one or two tracks here and there. But other than that, I still think it's a great album and definitely worth it of a placement here above Kiss Me Once, because Kiss Me Once I would have to skip half of the album, and I don't do that with Body Language. I just skip a few songs. Now to feel the rhythm in my lovin', there ain't nothing I can do. When I feel the beat of love go on and on with you, I don't have to worry. Na, 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 da, da. Yeah. I like it better than Enjoy Yourself, though I'm not sure if I like it better than Light Years. The reason why I'm not sure is because the album opens with a Holy Trinity. Better the Devil You Know, one of my favorite tracks of hers, followed by Step Back in Time, bop, followed by What Do I Have to Do, bop. The album starts so strong and finishes strong as well with Rhythm of Love. However, the middle of the album it falls a bit into songs that I'm okay with hearing without actually wanting to go after to hear. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because it's something that I get when I hear this album. There are tracks that I'm just gonna skip. Shocked, I like the beginning, but I just listened to, right before she starts, baby, I'm only right before that I just skipped because I like the build up, the first 2 minutes of building up. That's amazing to hear. Then I skip. One Boy Girl, we don't even talk about that song, okay? I just skip. So the middle of the album has a lot of skips. However, I don't feel comfortable at all with putting this here, because Step Back in Time is a better song than any song here. Better the Devil You Know is a better song than any song here. It's a better song than any song here, for instance. And here, for instance, if it were based on my songs, it would be on 3rd place or 2nd place. But it's not, it's about the whole thing, so I don't feel okay in putting this in okay, because it's not an okay album, and I don't think it's a good album. I do think it's a great album, but because of a few songs, if it weren't for them, it would fall comfortably just a bit above Body Language. But since the songs are there and I love them, I have to put it a little above, because even the rest of the album has tracks that are more enjoyable than the tracks in Light Years that I don't like, but are still enjoyable. Next one, Disco. You guys asked me to react to Disco. There is no reaction to Disco, okay? I heard this album when it came out, before I even had the channel. And it falls between Absolute Masterpiece and Great One. Now, I went straight to this, but I don't think so. There are several tracks that I don't really, consider outstanding, not in the likes of any of the albums that I put in Absolute Masterpiece, such as Celebrate You and Monday Blues. They don't make me wanna consider this a masterpiece, because it really isn't. But the tracks that hit. Magic, Myth of Thing, Fine Wine, Supernova, Where Does the DJ Go? I can go on and on. The tracks in Guest List, Second to Midnight, Kiss of Life, Can't Stop Writing Songs About You. They're great. They're actually outstanding. But since some tracks here don't sound outstanding, I'm sitting on a comfortable spot here and putting it as my favorite album among the great ones, but not to the point where it becomes an absolute masterpiece, because it's not an absolute masterpiece. That's Kylie, Fever, Kylie Minogue 1994, and Let's Get to It. Those are absolute masterpieces. And the reason I say that is because the last one is Kylie Christmas, which I feel very weird putting in here actually. I should create a category named... I can. yeah, I'm happy with that. It's Christmas. I can't possibly say, because when it's Christmas, I think it's my favorite album of hers. But it's not Christmas. As of right now, if I hear this, I'm not gonna hear anything. I am gonna put it here. But it's not fair. If I put it here on Christmas, it's also not fair. It's Christmas. Christmas is a category of its own, and it gets that spot there. I feel like it's a great Christmas album. I love the covers. I love the new tracks more than I love the covers. I love the featured artists. She gathered some people, made a great sound, very Christmas-like. I love the album. It's a great Christmas album. That's why I think it's right that it should fit in a category of its own, because it deserves that. So this is my list at the ending. Absolute masterpieces, great ones, okay ones, Christmas, meh, and no, which is poor golden, which really is a no for me. Am I happy with this list? I'm not sure. I'm definitely happy with my absolute masterpieces one up there, and I'm fine with my great ones too. Christmas, I feel like it's okay in a category of its own. Now, as for the okay and meh, I would say yeah, I'm happy with my list. That's the best I can do based on her discography. I really wanted to do this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But in sum, it doesn't really matter that there were albums that I liked more than others, because at the end, doing this was really important to me. I feel like I'm a better, not a better person, I feel like I'm a happier person knowing all these songs and listening to all of them. And Kylie happened in a very tough moment in my life, with my uncle passing and the end of high school and applying to college and all that shit. That's very crazy, and while that was happening, I was listening to Kylie and discovering new and great tracks every week, and that was really important to keep me in a spot that I still felt like I did things I liked, because I was still discovering things I liked every week, sometimes twice or thrice a week. Right at the beginning, I used to record Kylie videos 3 times a week. I don't do that anymore, and I won't do that again. I'm just keeping it weekly. But yeah, as I said in my golden video, there's videos and there's tours. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little break from Kylie for now to focus on other artists which you guys have requested, and come back soon, maybe next month, maybe 2 months from now, but I'm coming back. But I need to take a little break so I can focus on other people and get that nice nostalgic feeling when you revisit a song that you haven't heard it in a long time, you know, while I do the videos. That's gonna make the experience more enjoyable for me. So yeah, that was it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got any other requests, please tell me. I'll be thrilled to react to them, as I always am. I do hope to see you in my next video. Bye.